Hello people, and welcome back to part 31 of Ilos, our modded Cities Skylines build. We hope you're all having a wonderful day. Thanks so much for all the support across the live stream where we created a really cute pedestrianised athletes village sort of build using one of the varsity sports buildings and some of the condos with some green cities and sort of prop detailing around the back. It had a really nice time, and also using the insane visual of a mile grid field, which is something we found in Google Earth. We had a little scrapyard behind it where of course we have the sleeping dog and Jerry keeping guard over here as well. And then the right wheat at the foot of the condo is a very distinct Phoenix vibe and something we will see repeat across the mile grid as it grows. However, in today's episode you would have noticed that we're not really going to do a build today. What indeed we are going to have a look at is the wonderful world of public transport. So this is something that I like to do every now and again in the city, just especially as it grows. Ilos is up to 110,000 people pretty much now, which is a big city. And there's going to be much more efficient ways for all the public transport to move around. New road networks will develop now that makes them more efficient, can get to more places, can get more people on them. So at the minute we've got 2,371 residents a week and 1,500 basically tourists using the public transport network a week, so I want to see if we can increase those figures come the end of the episode and just generally get Ilos' population using the public transport a little bit more. I'd also like to have a look at the traffic overlay as well. We're running 85% traffic, which for a city made up of grids isn't that bad. I might not say so. We see we've got some, even the roads that are red, they're just busy. They're not exactly backed up, so really happy with Ilos' traffic flow, but we'll see if we can increase it from 85, 86 as to what it's sat on at the minute. But the red points aren't particularly gridlocked, they're just busy roads, so we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to start by coming into my Ilos lines, and then we're going to delete every single line across every method of transport. Might seem a little bit of work at the minute, but don't worry, just delete everything, and then we will be right back to redraw them all in and optimize them a little bit more, hopefully. So there are now 0 public transport connections in Ilos, no train lines, no metro, no trams, nothing. They are all reliant on walking or driving, and I'd just like to let the simulation run for a little bit with the traffic heat map on and see how this affects it. So let's have a little look. So interestingly enough, after letting the simulation run for a little bit, not that much has changed. There's still a decent traffic flow, and all of the public transport hubs are totally empty now. So it looks like that's going to do it. Well, let's thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day. No, of course, we're joking. Right, let's get on with it. So first of all, I think we're going to start off with some bus public transport, okay? So let's go ahead and get all of our bus lines. So really, the main sort of bus centre for the mile grid is focused within Fairview Square, where we have the intercity and internal bus line sort of hub here, whichever this one's called. What's it called? Bus Intercity Bus Hub is the one that we want. So I'm going to start by actually coming into these manual platforms that we set up, which actually need a little bit of node control tweaking, I've just realised. So we're going to start the first line from our transport hub, and then we're going to bring this down into Emily Fields, which is one of our main mile grid frames. So my thought process here is that I want each of the main mile grids, like Lascosity Gardens, Emily Fields, the Tucson University, Steve Goodwin Lake, Few Candy Lakes, Terminus Systems, etc., all to have their own bus line that's going to feed back into a central hub where they can grab metro or train. So let's go ahead and start bringing them down here. I think, okay, we're going to bring in stop over this side. Then yes, we'll feed them out the side of this grid over here, stop by the school. Then we'll come back down this one. And then we can feed it on the outside of the mile grid frames. Now, what I'm looking to do all the time when redrawing public transport lines is looking for points of convergence. So we can see that we have a metro stop here, and there's also a tram line, so we almost know for certain that we're going to have metro, tram and bus all converging here, so it's always good to look out for little spots like that. And then we can feed it back up the main side of the Margrid. It can stop at a variety of places. And it looks like it can hop back onto the high-speed road now. Yes, it's going to complete its route through there. Then that's going to come in. So what I'm also going to do after drawing in each transport line is come in and name it. So we're going to go for Fairview to Emily Fields. And then from here we can change the bus model if we want. It's kind of a standard suburban stop, that one. It's not going to be majorly busy, so a regular bus is going to be fine. We'll use the higher capacity buses during the busier areas. Let's just go ahead and set a colour. We're going for sort of a darker red. Seems acceptable. Cool, so there's one new one in. Let's have a look at the other ones. Let's come into this second little man-made bus stop that we've done. And then we'll feed this out into this next Margrid frame over here. So let's see, its fastest way to get out is to come down this main arterial system, which is fine. So we'll have it stop here as an entrance to the cycle highway. Again, it's another little bit of convergence. And then I want to bring it through the Viscosity Gardens. So we're going to have it stop. How about by the lake here? That might be quite nice, right? There's some water features in this neighbourhood. So we'll bring them through. Then we're going to have it come over this side again as well. So lots of people have been able to walk to the nearest stops. Then we're going to bring it down on the outside of that frame. And then again, looking for spots of convergence. There's another metro stop here with access onto the cycle highway. And it's also on a tram road. But this is going to have metro, tram and bus all meeting together, which is going to be very busy. Plus the cycle highway too. You know, these are all little points of convergence that weren't here when I built this neighbourhood. You know, the metro system wasn't in, the trams weren't flowing this far down Main Street, so it's definitely worth coming back to do this. It's also pretty satisfying as well. Right. Cool, so we'll stop outside this school. And if I'm going to be stopping outside a school here, I think we might actually make this one a little school bus. Bus, if you like. Because we never really use that one. Cool, and then yes, feed that one back in. Come back into your lines overview. And oh, did I not name that one? There we go, just need to hit enter. And then this one is Fairview. Make sure we spell it right. To Viscosity Gardens. Let's go for a nice little white number here perhaps, and then we're going to change it to a school bus. So passing by a school there, so it's going to be appropriately themed. Okay, and then let's grab the next one. So now it's just deciding which Margrid frame we want to move into next. So Stubby Palms here is probably going to be the most appropriate, and then we can meet up again with some of the metro lines that's happening down here. But I imagine we'll catch a lot of those with the bus lines that come and serve Kendai Corner and the Roy Key Mall and the terminus systems up here. But we'll see how it goes. So yeah, really, Stubby Palms is the next neighbourhood that I want to serve now. So we're going to start bringing the bus line through this section. Again, it's something to decide as to where we want to sort of cut through. Do we want to come through the main grid frame? Or do we want to sort of loop around the edge of it? And then maybe come back inside this way? I think that's going to be a little bit more appropriate, isn't it? So let's have a main stop here. And then I'm going to cut back into the suburb on this road. There we go. And then it looks like we can possibly even bring it... Do you want to back it onto itself or sort of come back up the main way, I wonder? I think we're going to do that. So I'm going to take that stop away. Then I'm going to bring it down onto the bottom of the frame where it can stop nearby to this bus station here. And then it can then come back up through its assigned suburb, through Stubby Palms. And then we can stop it here. And then it can then join its way back into its station up this point, where of course they float under the metro. This is one of my favourite builds we ever did. I absolutely love how the buses come under this stop. We need to do that more often. Cool, and then again, we'll go for Fairview to Stubby Palms. Love the Stubby Palms name as well. So it's going to be quite nice seeing all the old Ilos builds today as well. Let's go for a light blue number, and again, this is just going to be regular sort of suburban bus, so we'll go for the classic OE bus there as well. So that's filled in 3 of our little man-made bus stops. We can now start to send buses in and out of the main terminal. So we'll start the line from the bus terminal, and then we're going to send this up through the Margrid frames. There is a metro stop here again, so another identifiable opportunity where we could meet up with that one. And then, yeah, we'd just like to, I mean, a few Candy Lakes is kind of easy to serve. It's just a circle. So we can just sort of loop it around at this central spot as it hits all the curves. Then take it back out of the suburb, back to converge with the metro, and then just bring this straight back in so it meets up with its line. But we are also going to let the game play a little bit just so we can see these buses start to stagger out. There's going to be a lot of buses coming out if we just let it all play at once. So this one here was the Stubby Palms one. I need to remember to hit enter. There we go. And then bus line 4 is Fairview to Few Candy Lakes. Tremendous. And because it's Few Candy Lakes, we'll brand it a little bit pink. There we go. And then we'll change this bus model up. Let's go for a battlefield bus. Just so we can start to get some variation in the vehicles. Tremendous. Wonderful. Cool. So let's go ahead and grab another one now. Let's move on to the next suburb, which is going to be the Golden Egg Lake, which is kind of slashed in half as the diagonal arterial road goes through it. And then it's more sort of Roy Keane Mall, where there's actually another intercity bus station up this side. Which is quite interesting actually. We could bring in some more bus lines into that one. That's going to be a direct intercity connection back and between the two hubs. So why don't we do that? Let's go ahead and bring a new bus line up this way. We'll stop on this arterial road. We're going to bring it straight up into Roy Keane Mall. We're going to have it stop within this intercity stop. And then we could send it around the edge of the mall. We do have parking lot roads here servicing the entire thing, which I think would be sensible, wouldn't it? So we'll have a stop directly outside of the mall entrance here. Well, it's like we were playing with pedestrianised areas before the DLC, wasn't it? In Ilos. So many areas that would lend themselves well to pedestrianisation now. Yes, and then feed it here. And then come back onto the main road. Stop here. And then mirror your stops. We can probably have another one here, there as well. And then bring it back in. And I'm just going to mirror that stop there too. Then back into our lines overview. So that's Fairview to Few Candy Lakes. And then we've also got Fairview to the Roy Keane Mall. Cool. And again, we'll go for Roy Keane. I think we've got to go for a classic Manchester United red, haven't we, for the Roy Keane Mall? And we'll also send the another battlefield bus there too. Tremendous. Cool. So we're slowly serving them all now, but you just see now we're starting to just meet more Margrid points, you know, where there's going to be, you know, bus lines stopping here next to metro and trams, and, you know, all this walkability that we've got will start kicking in. You know, people will be able to walk to these bus stops to go up to a Few Candy Lakes, hopefully. So we'll hopefully see a lot more people coming in. There's already 1,000 people using it, and we have essentially no public transport lines in, which is really interesting. So let's have a look now. Yes, we've saved this one. The Joshua Train Plaza definitely wants to stop too. I actually wonder if it's worth bringing the Roy Keane Mall bus line out to grab that, or if there's enough. Probably is enough reason to bring out another bus line here to serve the train plaza. And then bring it back down. I think we're going to do that. So let's go ahead and set up another bus line. Again, don't worry about any bus traffic here that accumulates, of course. They're all slowly staggering out across the lines. They're going to take a little while to get there. So yes, let's bring this one up. Again, identifying another spot for convergence. We can see where the metro stations are. So let's bring them up. And then I'm going to let them stop outside of the train stations here. Which of course are internal and intercity. We do have both stopping there. Yes, and then you can meet back up this way. We'll also stop here. And then you can come back into the hub where you can complete your line. Then I just want to mirror another stop on the arterial road there for that one too. And then again, we're going to go for Fairview to Josh T. Rain Plaza. And then we'll go for sort of a minty green sort of vibe. Yeah, cool. So that's going to give us some more convergence there. come ahead now and set up another line back into this main hub. It's very satisfying doing this, by the way. I hope this is something of an interesting episode, because we're certainly not building today. I hope it's still enjoyable. Tremendous. Alright, so let's now come up and serve Brad's big box retail park in the suburb tethered to it, in with the terminus systems, which was for your candies build. So let's go ahead and have a look where we're coming up. You see we're going to follow the same path as the few candy bus line. So there's another opportunity there where we can get another bus stop close to another bus stop line. So always worth factoring into. You know, they can walk across here and then jump on the other bus network. And then we're going to bring it up. We are going to bring it up to this side so it can serve all these suburbia. People can get off here and, you know, enjoy the Brad's big box. And then we'll feed it into FUC suburb. We'll just take it through the terminus systems. They can stop at the hospital, the driving range, not the driving range, driving track either, it's not a golf course. And then let's have it down there. Okay. And then, yeah, it looks like we can just loop it back around now. So we'll have it stop again there, in line with the Roy Keane line. And I'm never going to be able to say Roy Keane line without keeping a straight face. And then, yeah, we can bring this essentially back down now. And then back into the bus hub. And then we're going to rename that one to Fairview, to the terminus systems. Super. And then let's go for an orange. Why not? Just keep everything nice and bright and colourful. And then for this one, we're going to change it up now. Let's go for a bendy bus for that one. Just so we can start to see some different bus models knocking about. Cool. Okay, so the next one up here will be Steve Goodwin Lake, which feeds into EM Beach and the E6 and Karina Memorial Hospital. So I'm thinking we might, because this is kind of like the half Margaret frames where we meet the highway, so all the measurements kind of shift a little bit. I think we're going to do this in one loop and feed it also through the bus station that comes through Tucson University. So let's do that. We're going to feed it in from here. We're then going to come down into the university where we're going to stop at this hub. There we go. Then it's going to come back out. It's going to come up to the school here where it's going to meet with another cycle highway entrance. And then it can come straight up and across the London Bridge where it's going to stop again with the walking infrastructure. Again, outside of this metro stop, and again, outside of all of these uniques, which are dying for people to come and visit them, of course. And then we can just feed it back through the feeder system of the Michael W. Flat suburb. Or the collector system here. People will be able to walk into this bus line. Okay, we're going to make it stop again outside of its mirrored stop. Then it's going to come back into the bus stop in the university. And then once it's finished that stop, it can make its way back into the transport hub. And then this one's going to be called Fairview to Michael Flats. We realise sounds like Michael Flatley. We might be in danger of doing a river dance, but it is Michael W. Flats that we're referencing there. Let's just come ahead and change that bus line to the bus line colour, Michael Flats. Go for a white, sure. Well, we've already got white, haven't we? I guess we're going to run out of colours eventually, but we can at least change them up for the time being. It's looking a lot more colourful, isn't it? A lot more purposeful in how it meets up with the other lines and whatnot. Very happy with it. I will include some cinematics at the end today of all the public transport lines in action. And then this one now really just wants to serve the rest of the Margrid frames in the same fashion that we have been doing. So I'll go ahead and get these hooked up. And then we can move on to some trams, trains and metro, which will always be fun. So I've now got most of the Margrid frames serviced by some form of bus line. And I've also linked in a long haul line from Ilos over to the Roy Keane Mall, which is this sort of lilac pink looking line that comes over. And I'd also like to do something similar again by having sort of a long haul Margrid bus right through the Margrid. So I'm going to start a new line. And then really I want to have it on this road here ideally. So I think we'll bring it through the school. It can stop here as well and service people around here. And then yeah, we just want it sort of come along now. It can meet up with the other lines as and when it wants to. Let's go for, again, another stop here. So it's just going to keep converging with all of these bus lines as it comes down. It can carry on through here and come into the start of the city, where again there's another opportunity for it to meet with metro and pathway. It can then come down into the start of the city to meet this metro line over here, and then it can come into our little manual bus plaza where it can turn around and then mimic its stops all the way back. Mando Plaza, which is where we started the city. Shout out to Retired Mandalorian, one of our wonderful Patreon subscribers. Cool, and then we go for a slightly light turquoise colour on that one. So we're now sort of seeing like long haul buses coming in as well, and whilst they are on that long haul, they're also meeting with all the other bus lines. You know, the stops here now with the lilac line and the blue one all stopping on the same road. I should see, it's very busy, isn't it? It's very, very colourful, but hopefully we're starting to see some people. But yes, starting to see a lot of people use the bus lines already, which is fantastic. Intercity buses coming and going from here too. Of course, this will stop once they all stagger out on their line. So it's going to take a little while for them to get there. So that's most of the Margaret's buses sorted. We will handle the downtown buses once we come to the downtown stuff, but initially that's going to give us exactly what we want to happen. Okay, there's now lots of convergence happening across all the bus lines and with the metro stations, which is the next thing that we're going to have a look at. So let's go into our metro lines and identify exactly where we want this to start flowing from. So we'll start with this one here. So this is going to converge with a long haul bus line back to the Ilos district. We're just going to have this follow to all of its stops and also identifying any new opportunities for stops that have arisen as the area's grown out. So this one then comes into this switch point in the university. Where does this then flow? So I could loop it back around down to the start of the mile grid, which is possibly not ideal. I guess we could also bring it under here as well, couldn't we? And then feed this one into the downtown. So that for me is the better route. I can get people from the start of the mile grid straight into the main transport, or the metro plaza here in the downtown. So that's going to be the better option for me, I think. So we're going to bring it into this university stop. It can then stop in Lawrence Park next to the play structure. And it's going to come down into this hub. And now, do we want to extend this out? I think this one probably ends here. There's already metro, overground metro here, and yeah, there's 2 overground metros, so there's no need to bring in a 3rd one. That's just going to be too expensive. Look how much money we're losing as well since we've killed all the public transport income. That's what's really interesting. Just how much of Ilos' economy was relying on the public transport networks. Yes, and then we want to add the stop back in there. Tremendous. And then it can come back up. Stop there, and then just repeat its path back down the start of the mile grid. Where, of course, it's going to be meeting with all of those bus lines, so that's tremendously exciting. Let's now have a look at this middle line. So I believe I set this one up with the idea of it being an express metro line through the mile grid, so it doesn't stop quite as often as the top and bottom ones do, which seems to work in practice. So let's bring this one through. So yeah, it starts at the mile grid and then it doesn't stop at all then until you get to Fairview. If you want more frequent stops, then you should take the top line. So we'll see if the AI actually uses it like that. And this one comes straight through. It doesn't stop at the university. It stops in Ilos and then comes back down Main Street. So now I'm wondering if we actually want another plaza stop on Main Street. There is the train line here, isn't there? Well, that is the metro that goes into the transport hub. So yeah, I can definitely see here at some point we want to be stopping on Main Street here with a metro stop. So let's see how we can do that. I think probably the vanilla one's going to be best placed, isn't it? Probably is, I think. Or we could go content creator, I suppose. Maybe one of these might be a little bit more appropriate for Main Street, I think. Then we'll drag the metro stop into place. We'll have to rework a little bit of this building site vibes. I'll do that in a second. And then let's come back into public transport. Let's go ahead and grab those metro tunnels. Then we'll delete a little section so it's not quite as abrupt. There we go. I'm just going to feed it into that main network now. And then we can go ahead and grab that public transport line, wherever it was. This one, wasn't it? Yeah, so drag stop to move it. So yeah, you will stop here. Then this one's going right the way down into the waterfront, isn't it? Yes, it is. And then even through to the airport. So that's a direct public transport connection now, from the start of the city all the way through to the airport. And then along its way, it's meeting buses, all the metro lines, trains eventually, trams as well. So I think a big thing with your public transport is look for convergence. I think oftentimes people sort of build public transport in as an afterthought, and it really should be expanded out with the road networks. It makes a tremendous difference. I often get questions saying, how don't you struggle with traffic? I think it's because of the way they use public transport as a build. So we'll sort of see if it works. Tremendous. Wonderful. So now let's come back to this one here. So this smart grid frame, if they want to get into the downtown, then they can either take the cycle highway, or they can walk, or eventually grab a bus there. Also the trams too. But for right now, all these metro lines are going to be converging with the buses that we've just drawn in. It's then going to come back up and meet with the university stops. Now this one branches out here, doesn't it? It does indeed. So I'm going to send this one up to the top here. I can see an opportunity again where this metro line is going to want to expand out, because we do have Lake Havasu opportunities coming up here soon. So we're going to prepare that as well. Let's go ahead and hook that in. Then we can grab that metro line again. This one's now going to come all the way down to Lake Havasu, where again it will converge with the downtown trams. So it's another way in for people in the Mark grid to get into the downtown if they so wish to. And they can stop here. And then it can repeat its stops all the way back through the city, where it's going to stop here. It doesn't need to carry out this way. There's farmlands and interchanges out that way. There's no need for metro to continue out to that side of the city. So there we go. There's our 3 metro lines in. So we can also see that we've got a line here that feeds out of the downtown straight into the downtown transport hub. So let's set this one up. This is going to come and stop at the new stop on Main Street. And it's going to come back through the Mark grid. So this is a long stretch for it not to stop. There is already a metro station in Ilos, so we don't need one here. I think we could possibly afford a new metro stop here in the school. Because again, it's going to converge with all of the buses, so I think we're going to do that. So let's delete this one right here. Delete a few sections of it. Hopefully we can squeeze that in without too much awkwardness into the existing infrastructure. Seems to be okay. We'll drag it over a touch. Let's grab those metro tracks and hook it back in. Oh, that's not what we wanted to do at all. Let's make sure we stay underground. There we go. Tremendous. So let's grab that stop again. It can then stop outside the school, where it's going to meet with more buses. And then it can feed back down into the transport hub, where it is actually going to stop. It's not going to go any further than that. That's where it's going to complete its line. It's going to meet up with everything else happening in the university, which will eventually include trams as well. So really happy just to go ahead and look at all these new stops come the end of the episode and just see how much more busy they are. Now we've seen all these new stops come in and sort of properly planned convergence with the bus lines. Now the final road configurations are in. Tremendous, cool. So that's another metro line in, and that should be all of the underground metro configured across the Mark grid. Yeah, there's still some bits to do here in the downtown, but we'll come to do that as a separate part of the episode. The downtown is its own beast with public transport. Cool. So now let's do the overground metro for the Mark grid. Again, there's only one major line here, so this one's going to be pretty easy to do. It just follows the big slashed diagonal arterial road that goes right through the middle. That also stops at Lawrence Park. This line gets crazy busy. We'll see how many more people are grabbing that underground station as well. Yes, and then come meet in with the new plaza here. Again, I'm thinking, do we want to maybe bring in a new station right now? Why don't we break this one? It's one of the old content creator ones, and we can use some of the new plazas and promenades ones. I do realise, I'm aware, we have not finished this side of the skyline in the downtown. It does need a little bit of TLC. And it will get it, don't worry. Let's make sure we're going on to force elevation as we come in there. Okay, let's have that come in. And then, yeah, we'll just have the new Metro Plaza with shops in the downtown. Have that there. And then this loops into this plaza. And then this comes all the way down into the airport. Again, so that's like another major public transport connection from the start of the city to the airport now. Remember, we had the other underground metro that runs there from the start of the Margrid too. So there's just so many different ways for people to get around the city at this point. It all comes with pre-planning the infrastructure. I haven't added a stop here, but I need to do that in a second. And then pull it back in. Let's head back to the transport hub. Make sure we stop on this side. There we go. Cool. So now we'll start to see those metro lines flowing around the Margrid. So let's now have a look at the train stops that come in and out of the downtown. Let's head over to the central station. So we've got this line here. So this one comes underground. It comes right through Lawrence Park. There's definitely no room for an extra station here. It's all very compact at the minute. And then we can stop again outside the main Margrid transport hub. That's yet another downtown connection for them. And then you can come back up and out. And this can be extended if anything ends up being built out here. But for right now, there's no particular need. And then this can just loop straight the way back to Central Station. Tremendous. So let's join the next one. This one's going to come directly north through Main Street, where there is a place for it to stop. It then goes underground. We could possibly want another metro or another train station through here, but it's not really viable at the minute with the plans I have for this area. It's also served pretty heavily by metro as well. And probably will have a bus connection out here once the suburbia built in these frames. This train station needs to be amended. It's just hooked onto the highway right now, but once a build happens here, that will of course happen. And then this comes right back to the start of the Margrid, where yet again it meets with more downtown and intercity connections, which is really helpful for bringing lots of tourists in. And then it can loop all the way back to the downtown. This line here is at the minute sort of obsolete. It's not being used, which is okay. There's also intercity lines out here, isn't there? Yes, there is. And then this is a future build, which isn't hooked in yet, so we'll save a platform for that. With that in mind, we're going to grab this platform here. And this is going to come straight the way through to the Lake Havasu area, where indeed it's going to stop on this point. This bottom connection for this station is actually an intercity, so we will also be accepting intercity trains into this area as well. Which then they have a direct connection back into the downtown, thanks to the long distance train line. So we'll have 3 of the current 6 platforms active. There will be 5 of the 6 active eventually once all the builds are in that require that. We can probably get another stop here over by Imperator's area as well. And once we come to sort of get out this side of the downtown anyway. That's going to be nice. There we go. There's a cargo train leaving. Wonderful. Though it's got a little bit of cargo on him. I'd like that if that's okay. Come back. No, he's gone. He's gone. He isn't coming back. Cool. So that's all the train lines, I believe. There's not massive amounts of train infrastructure apart from all the intercity and cargo stuff around the rail yards. But of course, that's not really our method of public transport. So I'm happy with that. Okay, cool. So now let's have a look at the wonderful world of tram lines, which is always a firm favourite, isn't it? Love a tram line. So way back when, we built this cute little sort of bus plaza that's going to converge with the tram lines. And I think where we do have the spare stops on this man-made bus plaza, we're just going to come ahead and serve at the start in suburbia with them. So I think we'll do that now actually while we're here so we don't forget. Let's have this one here. And then this is going to come down the main street and into the suburb. It can stop by the Super Tennis Centre that's over here. And then let's bring it through all these little frames. Again, looking for opportunity for points of conversion where it can meet with another public transport line, which this is a perfect opportunity for that, right by the metro and the tram eventually too. And then, what's that? Why are you showing up? Oh, your parking spaces, aren't you? Okay. That's okay. And then, yeah, we'll just have it run through this initial starting suburb. And then we can bring it back up through this space. I think it's going to be most appropriate. So It will stop again outside all this walkability near the schools and the commercial. And then it can loop back in there. We're going to change that bus line. That's going to be from Mando Plaza to Mehmet Fields. And we'll go ahead and give this a white bus line. No, let's go for orange. Cool. And then we could actually just sort of double back on that one with the next one, which I think is what I'm going to do. So we're going to start this one here. And then this time it's going to come back down and mirror the stops of the orange line, just so it sort of hits both sides of the suburbia. And then what we can do there is just find the Mando Fields one. We'll copy that one, paste it into here, and then we'll just go for line. And then we'll do 2L for its second line, and then we'll mimic that. What's the opposite of orange? I've no idea. Let's just go for that one. Cool. Great. So those are the bus lines configured for the rest of that little plaza. Now let's grab our metro or tram. Of course, we're going to have it stop here. There's a tram stop right for it to come right out. And then again, opportunities for convergence. Let's have it stop by the bus stops. It can then come through. Although I just realised you are now redundant. The perfect example of why we should do this, you know, there's an old tram turnaround point here that's actually eating nodes for me and doesn't need to be here anymore. So we'll just have a path connection into the school tennis club here. So that turnaround point is going to save us a few nodes, so definitely worth doing this, you know. Ideally add new lines. Yes, there we go. Let's add. Stop there. Come through all this suburbia. And then there is a decorated is what I meant to say, tram plaza out here next to the prison. So we'll have that come out. You can then stop again over by all these parks and the metro. Then it can start its journey now through the Mall grid. So let's have a look where you want to stop. Probably here's going to be a good point. Pick up some of these suburban people. And now we're going to come back into the points again of convergence. So this is going to be another good spot. Let's have another tram stop here. Almost certainly here because there's metro, cycle and bus. Keep it going. There's no need for one there. We'll have another one there as well. Yeah, that's tremendous. That's great. It's going to be metro, bus and cycling again. And then again, there's lots of industry over here, lots of stadiums as well. There is a stadium, so we want to make sure the stadium has public transport connection in the form of bus and tram. That should keep it well enough fed. Yes, you're stopping with the tram stops here. That's fine. So we do meet a little crossroads here in the tram section where it goes off into the university, into the Mall grid. Then it also carries on in the downtown. So what I'm going to do is do a little T loop on the tram line here. So I'm going to keep it going straight initially. Again, converge with more buses outside of Lawrence Park. It can stop one more time near the cycle highway in the suburb. You guys haven't seen this yet. This is some modern mid-century testing. We will do another suburban build with this once we come around to that. So many projects to do in Ilos. So little time. Yep, so you can stop directly outside here. That's tremendous. And then you can mirror your way back now. Meeting with more bus lines, and then rather than it coming straight back down the Mall grid at this point, we're going to have it come off on a T section. So you can just see, you can't really tell because of the bridge, but it's just making a little T with its line, if you like. And then if they do want to get off and hit the university first, there's a bus line here that they can jump to, or indeed take the cycle highway, and then the university is the next block up. So it should be quite a handy little system. Again, there's some pre-decorated tram stops here. Outside of yet another stadium. So that's all nice and happy. We'll have another one further down here. It can then stop next to the car park in the campus. Come and stop again above this public transport line stops at so many stadiums. It's actually kind of crazy. Yes, come through the university. How far away from the bus plaza here? That is getting a little bit of use, so I think we'll stop in the campus again as well, where we get the little lines there. I like that, it's quite cute. From the Vanilla Plus roads. And then, yes, come into your stop. But there is a pathway there, isn't there? Yes, there is. Add the stop there. can't remove that one for some reason. Let's try that again. There we go. Seems to be okay now. And then it can simply mirror its stops as it heads all the way back through University campus. So I think this will probably take the crown as the busiest transport line in the city, I believe. This tram line. That runs along the Margrid frames. Super busy one, lots of convergence as well. Really happy to see these areas kick into action once the trams are flowing at least anyway. And then yeah, let's just get this back across now so it mirrors its stops where we want it to. Of course you can't really do too much with sort of tram lines because they have to be on tram roads, so whatever tram road you've drawn out is essentially where they're going, right? Yes, and then loop back around and have another stop. And then again, we'll come back into our lines overview. Let's grab our first tram line, and then we're going to go for, this will actually be the overcharged egg trams. We'll have a black line colour, and then we'll go from Mando Plaza to Tucson University. Cool. So super big Margrid trams that are going to be flowing all the way around now. Hope we start seeing all these come out. Wonderful. Love these trams. Massive shout out to Blue Thunder for these. Oh, hello. Tram cactus. There we go. That's why it's good to do this as well. You can repeat any, or get rid of any sort of dodgy tree anarchy that's been going on. A little bit of weird surface painter there too. Tremendous, right? Lower tram interchange. Little tram start. Oh, some grass there too. There we go. Got rid of it. Oh, what wonderful. It's nice to see this tram plaza now with the rest of the full Ilos city behind it, because we haven't really seen this since we built it. Cute little commercial patterns here as well. Car parking. Love this little lake that we did over at the start of Ilos. Really cute. A little bit undetailed now actually. It needs some more. This colourful little green belt around it. Cool. Feels like so long ago since we built all this, doesn't it? There's little graveyards here as well. Little rural power lines in the trees heading behind. all of this bit of Ilos. I never see it anymore. It's a shame. I am thinking of rebuilding the start of the city actually. I kind of hate it, but that's a discussion for a different day at least. Alright, anyway, let's carry on with public transport lines. That's what we're here to do. Not to fawn over the beginning of the city. Yeah, so of course the main downtown node control trams is another biggie as well. So we do have some preset tram lines or tram stops here with some detailing. So we want to make sure that we respect those. So we're going to come straight through the heart of the downtown. Stopping at every major block by the looks of it. Yes, and then this again converges with metro that takes them back to the start of the city, plus all those bus lines. So hopefully now you're really seeing the power of convergence. We'll stop directly outside the stadium. And then again we'll come into this really cute little detailed commercial front now where there's more preset tram detailing. Again stopping outside the stadium. And then again up here. That's too close actually, to be fair. We don't need that stop there, so I'm going to skip that. So you can see where I pre-detailed it, but that's not needed. We'll have another one there. Then just stop at every major block. And then you leave the bridge and then head onto Main Street. So there's a metro stop here. 100% want to be converging with that. And then again, let's keep it going. Every major block. Let's go for one there. Then you're going to come outside the train station again with more convergence. I'm going to keep this going. Ilos is here. There is bus lines further down this way. So we'll have them stop outside the condos. And then, yep, keep heading straight up here. Come into the Valulad Medical Centre where there's a dedicated tram turnaround. And then this can carry on up into the Lake Havasu convergence, which will complete the line for us. And that line probably will end up getting extended. Let's just realised if I delete that line there, yeah, I don't want it to pull into the medical centre on this run. So we'll have it do this. Then as it comes back, it will make use of the medical centre stop. That's just going to stop the trams from turning over one another. It'll look a little bit cooler as well. Yes, and then you can mimic your stop all the way back down Main Street now. Again, there's another little turnaround point here that we made use of. So let's do that too. Just little nuances of tram network, sort of detailing and personality if you like. It's not like a major sort of flow improvement, but it's there to help. Cool. And get the trams coming out. And again, we're going to grab these guys. We're going to go for the downtown to Main Street car. Then we'll do a nice red here perhaps, and we'll change it to one of the overcharged egg trams. Cool. So I love these little tram networks in the downtown. These get a ton of use already. Look, just drawing the line in and there's already a load of people waiting for it. But just how they flow through the city, and they're all surrounded by high rises, and we've got these little node controlled tram things that we've done. Again, you know, you can come and see the rest of Ilos playlist if you want to see this happening during the Downtown Road Network frame episode. It all just flows through now and it's all active and alive. Busy. Yes please. Yes please everyone. Very happy with Ilos' public transport network as it's grown. It's been a tremendous amount of fun to put together. Cool, so that is actually the only tram systems in the city at the moment, although there is one thing I have forgotten, you idiot egg. This tram line extends down onto the waterfront now, so we need to factor this in. So let's have it come down and stop by the intercity station. Hopefully that's resulting in no crossover. Yes, we're absolutely fine there, that's wonderful. Again, there's more opportunities for it to stop here with the metro line that's nearby, so we'll factor that in. There's also ways for them to get in and out of the residential designs here with the green cities towers, so we'll have another stop there. And then it can carry on for this duration. And then is there any... My trees have disappeared from here again. It does keep happening, it's very annoying, but we'll make do with it. And then I think, yeah, just outside every sort of major pedestrian crossing on the downtown, or the pedestrian waterfront. All those people coming back into there. There's another good opportunity here as well. Yeah, cool. So that's going to be that tram line. So those are the only tram lines in the city. They were really factored heavily into the planning of the Mark grid frames. So that's only the tram line reworks that we can do. Whilst we are by the airport, we do have a monorail line here. I've purposely left the airport on this terminal metro be disconnected, even though this one is connected, because you can just see, right, how many people flood to the metro once they arrive from the plane. Like, very little people actually exit the terminal if there's a metro line hooked in, which is good, but I do like to see the people move, especially in an airport. You know, I want my airport to be super busy. So for that reason, I disconnected the metro here and didn't allow it to flow, and instead replaced it with a metro line, or monorail line, sorry. So we'll have this come through. It's just going to come back into the waterfront that we worked on. Was it last episode? It was, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So monorail line. This is wonderful. Let's go ahead and find where the car has spawned. There it is. There we go. Let's grab it. So this will be line details. And then this will be from downtown to the Sky Harbour. And let's go for a cute little baby blue colour, I think. Of course, there is no vehicle monorail assets. Great, so that's going to be transporting people back and to from Sky Harbour into downtown, where again they can converge with intercity buses over here. This is another intercity bus station, isn't it? Oh, hello. Hello, floating... floating, sun concrete thing. Are you alright? Get back down to earth? There you go. Not sure what's going on there. Yes, and then we do have this intercity bus station as well. So I think that's the majority of our lines drawn in. Of course, we have no air travel lines to draw in. There's definitely no ferries in Ilos. Yes, so the train networks are going to significantly expand. We're going to have a new build over here for our new rural town, which will probably be next episode. We prepared the train line for this already. And then I imagine if the node count allows for it, we'll probably also feed the trains out of Lake Havasu and possibly into the foot of the mountains here if something ends up sitting at the foot of Ilos' dam, but that is node count sensitive builds. We'll have to see what we're like once all the main projects are finished, but otherwise it's not too bad. Is anyone using this train line here to get here? Yeah, one person. It'll be a lot better here when we can get the intercity trains coming in. So last but certainly not least, I'd like to turn our attentions to the downtown public transport. So there is some very brief and kind of insignificant and pointless metro lines in here at the minute because the city isn't that big. So they just sort of don't really go anywhere. So now would possibly be a good time to actually change that. So let's come onto an angle snap here. And then we'll bring it straight out and across. Oh, we can't intersect metro and train line, can we? I guess, yeah, we could with the mods. So I think what we're going to do is force this section into bridge, and then we're going to come back across the ground. And then what we will do is just grab the nodes of the train line. So it's about there, and then let's just bring them down. And we'll just make sure that our train and metro can clear one another. Also reverse the positioning of the metro here a little bit more just by bringing it up. There we go, that gives us enough room. Just wants softening out and network multi-sloping so there's no horrendous angles. But otherwise we should be okay. So the wonderful Imperator, of course, when he came in, he gave us some frames. He knew exactly what we were doing here with all these road networks. So we'll bring them in. Let's just have this one run up here for right now. Of course, we will eventually get out to build in this side of the city, but for right now, we don't really need to be over here. But we might as well hook the metro in while we're doing it, because we know it's going to flow out here at some point. One with a road guideline and a curve tool, and tremendous, wonderful. Cool, and then we can grab this stop over here. These two probably will be subject to quite a bit of change as the city grows up, I think, just because of what they are. I don't know, I kind of regret building it like this. It's a bit weird, but it'll be alright. Okay, so downtown metro, we're going to have this one come in. Now this one goes directly into the metro underground plaza, which is great news. This one can flow out, and again we've now got an opportunity where we can see, indeed we do have another underground line here that's ready to be expanded out. Where's going to be a good spot? If we come onto an angle snap here, looks like we can maybe get in a little vanilla metro station here in with the school campus. I don't think that's going to be the most horrendous thing in the world, is it? So we'll hook those together. And then there is another metro line that goes out here now, so this one again, once this area grows up, will probably come out into these spaces over here, I imagine. But again, that's future building, isn't it? Future building. This is the intercity train line that's underneath as well. Cool. So let's grab that metro stop and drag it further into the suburb. That's tremendous. We'll add another stop this way, and then it can stop back again in the central plaza, and then back at the Beth Steel transport hub. We also want to add a stop onto that one. Okay. And then we've got this metro one here as well, so let's create a new line here. So this one runs right through the east side of the city, right through the suburb, stopping several times. And then finally here, and again it doesn't really go any further because there's not much need for it to. There's other connections serving back into the downtown from that side of the city. So this just keeps the suburb fed back into the downtown. Again, I don't really see much of a need to expand it out this way. I guess we could maybe bring one into the convention plaza. That was probably going to be the most appropriate choice, isn't it? So let's go ahead and position this where we want it to. We're going to just shift it on an angle like that. That should be okay. And then yeah, we want to come underground, and then basically this one just wants to cut right through the city like that. And then we'll grab it and then have it stop at the convention plaza, which again there's more uniques and another stadium there, so just kind of forgot how many stadiums there were in Ilos. There's a ton of them. And then we've got another line here. This is the underground one that comes through the west side of the city, which again we can now see that it can indeed be expanded because things have grown out this way. Things like the University and indeed Imperator's build, but if that's served by 2 overground metro lines, there's no need for that one to expand any further than it is. It's just a waste of nodes and money, to be fair. That's public transport overkill. My public transport is extremely overkill. It's very, very busy and very interconnected, but I think we see the final product in the traffic, don't we? Cool. Yep, so this is going to stop through here now. It's going to make its way into the University. Again, where it meets with the overground metro lines, and tremendous, wonderful, it's there. So that is most platforms accounted for now. It's only this one here that hasn't actually had a connection, but there's not really a vast amount of opportunity for more underground metro. All this is served by bus and tram. We could bring in another underground metro line to maybe run parallel with the highway here and catch all these suburbs. But again, it's kind of overkill, I think, isn't it? It's overkill. I don't know. I think we will find an excuse to hook this bottom platform in, but for right now, it should be okay, I think. So hopefully we'll see the AI slowly pick this up alongside these stations, hopefully, which are getting a few people waiting at them now. There we go, lots of people coming out, which is good. Cool. So the last thing we've got to do now is to do all the downtown bus networks. So there's 2 intercity bus stations here, isn't there? Yes, there is. So let's start with this one. So we're going to grab a new line here. And then it's exactly the sort of the same process as we were looking at in the mark grid. And now I want to sort of serve each major bit of the sort of downtown suburb. So this one here is going to come directly through these. It's going to grab all these houses. It's going to again come down toward yet another varsity stadium. And then we'll just have it mirror its way back through the suburb. And then it can make its connection in there to complete its line. We'll also use the lines overview here. And then we'll go for... It looks like we didn't name a bus line, did we? Okay. So we'll go for the Beth Steel Transport Centre, which we will abbreviate into BSTC. And then this is going to Bad Wolf Fields. Tremendous. Which one was this one that I didn't name? That was the secondary line from the Mando Plaza that I didn't name. That was the unnamed one. Cool, there we go. We'll also name the tram lines as well, and the metro lines once they're all in. I'll do those off camera though, because that's a lot of typing to find out exactly where they flow to and from, but I will name them all. Cool, okay, so that's one of the bus lines set up here. Let's come back in, let's go ahead and start another stop. And then this one I'm going to bring down onto sort of the main arterial frames. And then this is going to serve the university, again, where it can converge with underground metro. And then I'm going to bring it down through the university and into Imperator's area, where it can have a couple of stops through the suburbia, stop at the big box retail. And then I will feed it back through this one, where again, it can meet with overground metro before it mirrors its stops back through this area and then into the transport line again. Cool, so again that's going from BTT to Imperator. So go for the Beth Steel Transport Centre. So it's just, I hope you're finding this useful, this process. I don't know if this is going to make a very interesting episode. I know that people do like to see sort of public transport optimization, which is very much a practice of doing that. Cool, we've got another bus line here. Let's bring this now down through central downtown so it can link up with the other bus hub over this side. So yeah, I just want it to run a straight loop so it links the 2 bus stations together. And they're just going to flow right down Main Street and then it's going to come back in. I'm going to rename that one. That's going to be the Beth Steel Transport Centre to Central Downtown. It's very, almost like detoxy. Sort of doing all this and naming them. Very, very satisfying. Cool. And then there's one more in here, which I think we will use to maybe do a little loop around the downtown network here and loop up around the waterfront because there's no bus lines here needed, it's all pedestrian. So yes, we will do that. We're going to bring you down the one-way system. Now these roads don't like accepting bus stops, which is slightly annoying. So what we are going to do instead is bring you through the inner city, through the skyscrapers, having you stop at a number of places. And then I want to feed you out onto the stadium road. You're going to come down into this district again where you can stop and converge with the tram lines. And before indeed it does turn back up through the convention plaza. And then stops here one more time before completing its line there. And then that one will become the Bethsteel Transport Centre to the Garthman Riverfront. Tremendous. Cool. So now really the only ones we have left to do are these ones that have this bus stop here. Which it should take us not too much time at all, I don't think. Let's go for this one here. You can come down the main street where it can meet with the metro before it enters the suburb. And then just begins to flow around it. So because we've gone for super heavy American grids here, it's pretty easy to iron up. Just every couple of blocks is always a good barometer for bus stations. And we'll have it stop here outside the industrial area. And again, it's going to come back onto Main Street where it can hit all of these metro conversions again before it comes back into the intercity station. And then we're going to grab one more line, and then this time we want to see if we can feed it up into and around the governor's office. We're going to have it come down here. It's going to come back into the suburb where it can service all these fine people. It's going to stop again outside the metro convergence point, where it can then come back down the opposite way of the one-way system outside the governor's office, converge with yet again more metro before entering back into the plaza to complete its line. Tremendous. So line 19 would be central downtown to Mehmet Fields, and then this one is central downtown to the governor's office. Have we run out of characters? Okay, it's Offic then. There's no room for the E. Wonderful news. So let's go ahead and grab some of these. I'm just going to randomly change up their bus units now. We'll go for a bendy bus occasionally. You'll return to depot. You are an intercity bus. You'll return to depot. Okay, yeah, so there's plenty of intercity buses coming through here as well. Cool. Alright guys, so that's most of the transport lines in now. We've reconnected all the bus stations. We'll have one sort of final look here over our sort of configuration. There is some holes within the coverage, I think. I think maybe Ilos could do with another bus line to serve the suburb and the Kendite Grove next to it as well. Where we've got Grove Street down here in the grimmer, more rougher part of the city. I feel like maybe this could do with some more bus connectivity. How's this one doing now? Yeah, look at this. Super busy. People wanting to come in to Ilos for some reason. This is the horrible part of the map. Don't come here. Stinks. But it's getting used, right? We can't really complain about that. Tremendous news indeed. Yeah, so I'm just going to let the simulation run for a little bit, let all of these new vehicles stagger out across their line, and hopefully stumble across some sort of optimization. And then we'll come back and have a look at final figures and say goodbyes. So we'll be right back. Okay everyone, so the simulation has been running for a little bit now. Let's take a look at our numbers that we had a look at the start. We're up to 3,035 per week, which is about a 30% increase, give or take, with the optimization. And then we also up to 1,515 per week on the tourists. Tourist ebb and flow, just with, you know, the intercity connections that come into the map. So, yeah, but nice 30% increase to the residents that are using all the public transport, which is really nice to see. And there's been some issues in Ilos. So the public transport in the game is kind of massively unstable at the minute since the plazas and promenades patch. There's lots of intercity connection issues. I've had some severe issues with the Sky Harbour, including 13,000 active flights at one point, which was insane. And also the fact that none of the passengers were actually getting off the planes. They were simply docking into the gates, sitting on the plane, enjoying their holiday, looking out of the window, and then immediately returning home, which is hilarious. But it means that we weren't getting any tourists. The fix that I have found for this, in case anyone else suffers for it, it would appear that at the minute, the car rentals policy for the airports area almost entirely stops the airport from properly functioning. You get sort of despawning planes, people don't leave the terminals properly, they don't get off the planes, it generally messes with it. I've just found that having car rentals turned off, it fixed it for me, at least 90% of the issues. So worth considering if you're also experiencing something similar. But taking a look back at the public transport heat map now, we can just see that every single area has got some sort of convergence or public transport nearby to it. Even if they're not, you know, they can simply walk over to it thanks to all the path detailing that we do in the playstyle that we use, and all these little spots of walkability. And of course we can't see the actual numbers of the cycle highway per week. It is in the city stats, but it's only sort of a yearly average as opposed to a live count, if you like. But this is super busy as well, so this will be saving a ton of car journeys having the cycle network everywhere. So really happy with that, and all the public transport hubs are nice and happy and busy now. There's lots of people walking about. And really happy with the bus optimization. Again, we'll just have a little glance at the numbers. So there you go, 3,402 now. That's crazy. That's like, what, it's like 40% increase now. And then 1,618 tourists. So it's just getting higher and higher. Now it's all been sort of re-optimized and it's covering areas that it wasn't before. And there's easier options now for feeding things back in tow. So yeah, really happy with it. Shame the public transport's still a bit glitchy, but we'll hopefully see a patch for that soon. And then the traffic isn't much worse or better than it was. It ebbs and flows between 84 to 87%. Again, I think it's just dependent as and when those sort of big industrial vehicles come up. But all the red junctions are just busy Margaret frames. There's no major jams around the city. Surprisingly enough, even the road I thought would jam when I was planning Ilos would be this one. This big 5-way intersection right at the heart of the downtown is just smooth. It's super amazing. I really thought this would choke at some point, but I guess it's just all the public transport keeping everyone moving and all that cycling as well. It really is worth doing, just ripping out every public transport line that you've got and then just starting afresh, and it'll just take in a couple of hours to re-optimize everything and maybe decorate a few new public transport stops along the way, like we have done today as well. We've flown in a few new metro stations alongside a couple of new tram stops as well. But we'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, a like, comment or share below really helps me out. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, then please feel free to leave me a dislike as well. Lots of happy sims moving around now across Ilos' public transport network, for which I will include some cinematics of toward the end. Next episode, I think we're going to head out to the rural town. I realise I did promise it on last week's stream this week, but the public transport overhaul definitely needed doing, and we can see the fruits of that labour now. And I will leave you to hang around and check out those fruits as well. Please do enjoy the cinematics, but otherwise I will shut up and we'll leave it there. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.